Welcome to this episode of the Hospitality Finance Podcast. Your host is Pam Rousseau, and she'll be having candid conversations with finance executives in the hospitality space as well as other industry experts. Each episode will explore what shapes these leaders, their take and experience with mentors, and an experience with change management. They will share their views on industry challenges and strategies to overcome them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Hospitality Finance Podcast. My name is Pam Rousseau. I am your host, and this is Jeffery Lee, Corporate Controller of Montage Hotels and Resorts. And I am excited to bring you this wonderful episode because Jeffery has many years of experience that I am excited to bring and share with our listeners. Jeffery, first of all, good morning, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I feel honored to be part of your podcast.
It's a pleasure. So with that being said, let's get started. So on this first section, we're going to get to know Jeffery a little bit. And my first question to you is, Jeffery, can you share a little bit about where you grew up and what that was like, the environment, the place, and how you feel that has shaped who you are today?
So I grew up in Houston, Texas,
Nice.
born and raised. And then after high school, I went to college at the University of Arizona. Both my parents graduated from the University of Arizona, and my grandmother was living there at the time. So I moved there to spend time with her and was fortunate to find the Eller School of Business, graduated with my master's in accounting from Arizona, and loved every minute that I spent there. Go Wildcats.
Go Wildcats, indeed. Excellent. So with that being said, we're talking about hospitality. This is a hospitality finance. So let me ask you, what was one of your favorite vacation destinations and what's been one of your bucket lists that you still haven't made it to?
One of my favorite vacations was a safari that my family took in Botswana, Africa. So it was such an amazing experience to go to Africa, to see the animals, to see the Cape Buffalo, the herds of the Cape Buffalo, the elephants, the zebras, and we actually got to see a lion pack take down a buffalo and then eat the buffalo in front of us. It was such an amazing experience to be right next to the lions and see the power that they have, and them working together as a pride. It was a very, very wonderful experience to have.
So that's one of my bucket lists. That's actually my top bucket list, is to go on a safari. So initially it was just I want to go there, but now it's I want to go and take my boys with me so they can see that as well.
Absolutely. I think that experience is one best with family to experience together, because it is such a memorable trip. One that I remember with my family, and one that I definitely want to take my sons on as well.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 25, I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah, my youngest is 16 already, so I think we're almost ready. Well, thank you for sharing that. And then I'm going to ask you, Jeffery, have you ever had a life-changing experience? And if so, can you share that with us?
I have, Pam. So my life-changing experience, because we are talking about finance and hospitality, was when I was going to school at the University of Arizona. I was majoring in accounting, and everybody in accounting was angling for a Big Four internship. At that time, I did not want to be an accountant. I said, no, I do not want to be an accountant. There were certain perceptions, stigmas that people had about accountants. So I actually went and I got a marketing internship for the summer. I went and did the marketing internship. But while I was at that marketing internship for the summer, I sat back and said, I really wish I could use my accounting knowledge. So it was from that marketing internship that turned me back around into the field of accounting and really kickstarted my drive and pursuit of going into a Big Four auditing firm and getting my CPA. So that was very life-changing for me. It turned my career into accounting, and that's where I am today. And I have everything to thank for that marketing internship to really help me focus on what career path I wanted to take. I'm one of those people that believe everything happens for a reason. both good and bad. Something is to be learned about every experience, as long as you take that experience, absorb it, assimilate it, and then move forward, understanding why that might have happened and how that will turn you into a better person.
Well, I'm glad we're here speaking, and thank you to that marketing internship because it brought you where you are. And then I'll have to ask before we move on to the next section, because I know you are very well traveled. What has been your most memorable hotel you've ever visited? And what made it memorable?
My most memorable hotel for my honeymoon, my wife and I went to Bora Bora and stayed in one of the overwater bungalows that exists over there. And that was, you see it in all of the travel magazines, people on the overwater bungalows jumping into the crystal clear turquoise water. And that was such a great experience to have, to be able to open up the table inside your bungalow and feed fish without having to leave your room. That was certainly memorable, and combine that with the fact that it was our honeymoon, made it extra special.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience that. It seems like a dream. So I'm taking it was one of those experiences where the reality equaled the expectation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what also helped the experience was the level of service that existed at the hotel. The associates on property were so attentive, and they called us by name, and they made you feel special that you were there.
Well, I'm glad you guys got to have that.
Thank you.
So as we move on to the next section, we're going to talk about your career path. And my first question to you would be, what steps led you to where you are today, career-wise? Talk about that for a little bit.
So when I graduated from the University of Arizona, I went into KPMG, into their audit practice. I spent 1 year as an auditor at KPMG, and then I actually followed one of my mentors into another practice called accounting advisory. In accounting advisory, we did SEC reporting and technical accounting for material transactions, the type of stuff that you would see on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Business combinations, IPOs, carve-outs, restatements, very, very sexy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
From there, it was a lot of hard work. It was hard work. It taught me a lot, but I was traveling 100% of the time, which as a 26, 27, 28-year-old on an expense account was a lot of fun.
Of course it was.
But then I got married. I wanted to settle down. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have a dog. I wanted to play more golf. So I made the decision and said, for my own personal satisfaction, I would like to reduce the amount that I traveled. And so from there, I transitioned into industry, and I was fortunate enough to find a position with Starwood Hotels. It made a lot of sense because I was traveling 100% of the time beforehand. So I was very familiar with their product and loved all of the hotels. Staying at a Westin at that point in time when I was traveling was the top echelon of where you could stay when you were traveling. So being able to then transition that and become a part of that organization was very exciting. I was fortunate there to join Starwood with a number of other University of Arizona alumni. In Scottsdale, Arizona, and from there I stayed with Starwood for 6 years, all the way through the acquisition with Marriott. So went through the acquisition with Marriott, helped and stayed through the purchase accounting and transition of all the activities to Marriott Corporate, and from there was a natural transition after that time was done, and from there, then my family and I decided to move to California. And I was fortunate enough to find my way to Montage Hotels and Resorts. Prior to moving to California, I did not know Montage Hotels and Resorts. But once I found them and I went down to Montage Laguna Beach and was able to see the property and see the location and understand what Montage was about, I said, this is absolutely a company that I need to be with. So now I've been with Montage for going on 5 years. And at the time that I joined, there were roughly 8 properties. And since then, and through COVID, we have now doubled in size, where we have 15 operating properties, 7 montages, and 8 pendries. So it's been a wonderful journey.
Impressive. Not just what's happened since you joined Montage, but what's happened since the beginning of your career. Very impressive, very inspiring. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so of all of these different positions you've had, which one's been your most challenging role and why?
The most challenging role I've had was when I was in accounting advisory at KPMG. As an accounting advisor, you were there at the pleasure doing work for a client.
Right.
So it's all about client service. You were there doing material transactions. There were some very, very late nights, hard deadlines. There were times it was not uncommon to work until 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
There were multiple times on top of that we worked 24 hours in a row. I could probably count maybe on 2 hands the number of times that I did it, but just going through that experience, I think built dedication and responsibility and accountability, but also a sense of understanding of what it takes to get something done.
Yeah.
And there are times where you need to buckle up and just get the project done. And that then, though, has allowed me to understand there are times that we need to work hard and there are times that we don't.
Yeah.
But knowing that you have that ability to really dig down deep, to put in the time, to put in the effort, to show that true grit and to push through and meet those deadlines. While it was hard work, there was a real sense of satisfaction once you completed it.
It's tremendous work ethic that's developed under those circumstances.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. And then one last question along these lines. Have you ever had a mentor? Can you share with us?
I've been fortunate to have many mentors along my career path. And I think mentors are important because they provide perspective and guidance on how you should approach challenges or how you should approach situations. The first mentor that I had was in college and really provided guidance upon my career path. How should I think about my career path? I remember walking into her office and she said, "Would you like to go and be a Big Four accountant?" I said, "Absolutely not. I am not going to be an accountant." And she sat there and smiled at me, and we became very good friends. And ultimately, yes, I did go into Big Four accounting. After that, my next mentor was a gentleman at KPMG, and he taught me technical acumen.
Okay.
He was very smart. He taught me how to work hard. He taught me humility, and that was something that I needed at that point in time as a 25-year-old kid fresh out of school. After that one, I had a mentor who, after my technical skills grew and I became a manager, he taught me sophistication and poise, taught me executive presence and the importance of personal relationships. And then once I transitioned over to Starwood, I had a mentor after that who taught me work-life balance and taught me about what are priorities in your life. We need to work hard, but there's more than just work. So what is important to you, and ensuring that you can fit your life and work together, but ultimately understand where your priorities are and how to balance all of them. And so I've been very fortunate to take a piece from each one of those mentors to then help build myself as a leader, and then to be able to provide that to my team, and hopefully they're getting some benefit from me as well.
Amazing lessons. And, it seems that you had the right people placed in your life at the right time. A lot of those lessons that you just shared with us, I think they're lost today, right? Poise, the work dedication. And as we get older and higher level responsibilities, that work-life balance is often lost, right? So very good for you that you had those people in your life when you needed them.
Before we leave, I would say one last thing about mentors is mentorship does not need to be a very formal process. It can be very informal, but what it takes is an openness of communication, and just saying, hey, I would like to get your perspective on this. And so being able to trust someone to share how you're feeling and ask them for guidance, that is a mentoring relationship.
100%.
This episode of the Hospitality Finance Podcast is sponsored by Eden Red Pay. Eden Red Pay automates the way hospitality management groups process and pay the invoices they receive from suppliers. Free up staff time with technology-assisted GL coding. Approve invoices lightning fast with rules-driven digital workflows. Pay suppliers in their preferred method with the touch of a button while mitigating fraud. Speed up the financial close with real-time syncing of information to your ERP or accounting software. And find out why thousands of assets choose Eden Red Pay. Hospitality firms can even earn rebates on supplier payments made with a card. Learn more about Eden Red Pay at www.edenredpay.com.
And now we get into a separate part of the podcast where we're going to talk about a time that you faced a challenge at work where you had to change workflows, processes that were existing processes. Can you share with us an experience where you had to steer your organization, your team through some sort of a change?
One of the most significant changes that we have had as a business actually came out of COVID. It was in process before COVID, but COVID really pushed it and made us advance this project. And it was, we brought payroll back in-house. And so previously we had outsourced it to a third-party provider to do our payroll processing. But looking at what the pandemic did and how activity shifted on property where people were no longer in just one position, they were having to service multiple areas, multiple outlets, which means they had multiple different pay plans. And so we needed that agility and the control and the ability to fix things quickly.
Right.
And so we decided as an organization to bring payroll back in-house where we were able to control it and react quicker because our associates are our number one asset. As a luxury hotel company, taking care of our associates is our priority here so that those associates can take care of our guests.
Yeah.
And so our ability to service those associates and be quick on those changes was very important to us. So we brought payroll back in-house in 2021 and have done so and been operating with that since then. And that was a very significant transformation because it is payroll. It is wages and compensation. And that is one of those activities that you cannot miss.
Yeah.
That is the trust that you have as an organization with your employee that will be correct. And so going through that process was very transformative and disruptive. But in order to do that, it's managing the transition effectively, which is understanding the timelines, understanding the processes, putting the correct processes in place to ensure that that will be handled correctly, and then we can bring it in-house seamlessly, right, so that the associates on property don't know that occurred.
Yeah.
And so we did that successfully in 2021. We had great leaders in place to help manage that, and that was very important to the success, is having somebody to understand what it would take to bring that in and to help guide that timeline to transition back that payroll process.
That's a very bold move, considering that in today's society or today's environment, most companies are outsourcing that type of functionality. And you yourself had outsourced it, or Montage had outsourced it before. And to make that shift and come backwards, but for the reasons that you did, is a very bold and empowering move, I would imagine.
It was a wonderful process and very challenging to go through, but rewarding at the end, because now we do have that control. We do have that agility that we were seeking. And now we have a wonderful team here that services those property associates, and we are able to react quickly for changes that come about.
I think that's one of the biggest things that corporations need today is having the flexibility to be agile. So congrats on getting that done successfully. Very, very bold move. So as we move on, let's talk a little bit about industry trends and the path of hospitality finance. Where do you see that going? So My first question to you would be, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing today and how are you preparing for them?
That's a wonderful question. There are challenges out there everywhere. From a corporate finance perspective, one of the top items that I'm thinking about right now is cybersecurity.
Mm.
Cybersecurity is a real threat. You look at the events that occurred in Las Vegas to two very well-known hospitality giants,
Yes.
and you see the impact that that has, not only from a financial perspective, but also from a reputation perspective. And so cybersecurity, it's not just people trying to commit check fraud or people trying to commit wire fraud or taking money, taking petty cash from a drawer. It truly is these very large, very nameless bad actors that exist that can truly put your business on pause and cause irreparable damage. So we are trying to ensure that we have the precautions and the controls in place, making sure that our IT systems are secured.
Right.
And as well that our associates understand that the threats exist out there. It is at that level ensuring that everybody knows proper processes and protocol and has that awareness that it occurs. Pam, there's a concept in auditing called professional skepticism, something that I learned in my time as an auditor, but that's to be aware and be aware of what's going on and to look at everything critically to ensure that it smells right, that it looks correct, and not just take it for face value. And I think that's something that if we can ensure all of our associates have at least a level of professional skepticism, then that will help set the stage for a solid, secure platform.
Yeah, very well put. So where do you see the opportunities ahead? Having said that, where do you think there's room for improvement in the industry?
I think artificial intelligence has significant opportunity for hospitality and for finance. Dynamic pricing is a form of artificial intelligence that's been around for a while, and that is on the front end. But when you think of finance and the activities of finance at a corporate level, budgeting, forecasting, month-end close, payroll, what are the activities that are defined by a set of rules that can be learned and assimilated and can be performed repetitively by a machine that can understand what those rules are.
Yeah.
And so taking artificial intelligence and putting it in the framework of accounting to then help that artificial intelligence, what is the correct decision under US GAAP? How can I speed up my month-end close by using artificial intelligence? I think there is significant opportunity out there for artificial intelligence to help speed up all of the activities that finance has done and is responsible for in Excel.
Yep.
And historically, it's in Excel, it's manual, we do it. How do I create this formula where now you can go into one of the artificial intelligence platforms and it will help do that for you?
Yeah. It's a common thread I hear with everybody I speak to today when we're discussing where the opportunities are moving forward. And it seems that AI is at the forefront of it. So thank you for sharing that. And then with that, what are the current trends shaping the financial landscape within hospitality today?
I think the current trends, again, are accuracy and value creation.
Right.
Not only are we finance professionals and accounting professionals, but what can we do then within our positions and our roles at the company to create value? It's not just repetitive tasks that are finance, accounting, month-end close, but then really going to that second level of analysis and understanding and value creation based off of what you're seeing within the operations, the business. What are the numbers telling you?
Right.
And so that's where I try and encourage my team to not only look at what is it that we're doing and what are we having to complete on a daily, monthly, weekly basis, but what is it telling us?
Right.
What trends are you seeing? How can we make operations better? How can we reduce costs? Where can we create value that value might not have existed before?
Awesome. And then one last question here. What do you hope to see developed in the future? Like if you can create an app or a platform or some product, what would you like that to be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm very interested in the partnership of AI and visual optical wear. I know that there is a development between a sunglass company and another large platform to be able to do to be able to have that screen right here. I'm a big golfer, Pam, and so one of the things, and any golfer will know, you go out, you hit your shot, the first thing you do is you grab your range finder to see how far you are from the pin. And I grab my range finder. If I take 78 shots a round, I grab my range finder 80 times.
Okay.
To be able to have that integrated into some sunglasses that are already there that will tell me exactly where things are, how far it is, the distance, the wind speed, that would be amazing. That would be my dream come true.
All right, you heard it here first. So that's awesome. That sounds like a fun one. Looking forward to seeing that developed at some point.
Wonderful.
All right, so now we got into a rapid fire section. It's going to be quick. So you're going to think of this and just share with me the first thing that comes to mind.
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Beach or mountain?
Oh, both. Montage Kapalua Bay for the beach, Montage Big Sky for the mountains.
Can't get better than that. Favorite season of the year?
Spring.
Favorite book? Oh, spring?
Spring. I love spring. The weather starts to warm up, the flowers start to grow, and golf season begins.
All comes back to golf. Cook or eat out?
Cook. Definitely cook.
What are we cooking?
I actually just made a crispy pork belly on my Rectex smoker last weekend.
Are we
it was
doing
delicious.
It here? It sounds delicious. Your favorite hobby?
Golf.
Golf. It all comes back to golf. What song is always on repeat?
Ooh, that's a good one. When I am out playing golf, I turn on my speaker very loud, and there are a lot of Guns N' Roses songs on that.
Mm-hmm. I can see
Sweet
that.
Child of Mine, Paradise City.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
I love it. And then what podcast is on your phone?
I enjoy listening to Quick Brain with Jim Quick. Personal development and learning how to utilize your body more efficiently to make yourself a better person.
Jeffrey, that concludes our podcast for today. I thank you for sharing with us. That was amazing information. I hope you all enjoyed this podcast, and I welcome you to listen to the next one. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Pam.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Hospitality Finance Podcast and invite you to subscribe to our channel. Like, comment, and share as we welcome feedback from our listeners. Find us on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Thank you for listening, and make sure to tune in to the next episode.